Peace, family. Hetep, Kera Amen-Ra, Neteru, Amen-Ra, Amen-Ra. This is your brother Kera Amen-Ra. I wanted to show you a quick ritual, basically paying homage to the Neteru and the deities, but this is the basic of the basics. Okay, so right now, we're not going to pay homage to any specific deities necessarily. I'm just going to give an example. So let's take a look at what we have on the board. You have your Hetep offerings, right? Hetep means offerings, but it has been translated in the conscious community as a greeting. So you'll see where a lot of the Kemetic sisters and brothers will greet each other with Hetep and so forth. But in actuality, the origin of the meaning of that particular word is offerings. So we have right here, we have an offering table, we have a loaf of bread, we have a mat. Some would say that's a stool. And together, these syllables or these letters make Hetep, right? So Hetep is the offering table. We have the loaf of bread, we have the mat. Interestingly enough, we have the word for deity here, which is Neteru. So you have the water wave, that makes the sound. Once again, you have the loaf of bread, that makes the t sound. And then you have the mouth, which makes the sound, or the ra sound, or re, okay? So we have the water, we have the bread loaf, and we have the mouth. Now next to it, you notice I have utterance. Why? Because whenever we're paying homage in the Kemetic tradition, these three things were necessary when it comes to making a connection with the deities. So you want to provide them with water, you want to provide them with sustenance, and you want to utilize the power of speech, the utterance, because it is believed that when you use your voice, you're actually performing a creative act. So, as a rule, you always want to make sure when you are in the temple or in the shrine or in a state of meditation to not have any type of idle words or utter anything that is going to take you away from that state of peace or connection with spirit. So therefore, in the temples of ancient Kemet, it talks about how the Neteru hates too much talking. And the reason why is because as you're speaking, you are creating. So therefore, we look at Neteru, which is the word for divinity in the Kemetic language. We see there's the water, there's the bread loaf, and there's the mouth. And next to it, you have your determinative. Some will see that that is a stick with a piece of cloth wrapped around it. I was told by my elders that that is an axe. So when you look at an axe and you look at what it was used for in prehistoric times, sometimes it was used in battle, but it was also used to chip away stone and to shape something. So you want to chip away all the rough edges of a certain thing. Remember, the axe also is cousin to the hammer or the mallet, which became your gavel and so forth. So you have the ability to shape as you utter. So when you speak any type of words, you are summoning a type of energy. Hence, when you make an offering to your ancestors, you are literally summoning their spirits, which we call the Ka of the ancestors. Each and every living thing has a Ka. So what we do is that we provide substance to the Ka so that the spiritual essence of this person can be with us in our everyday lives, and they can perform acts through us on earth or guide us to what we want to do to fulfill our destiny. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with this as a quick example. Notice I have some incense, I have some bread, and water. So whenever you want to pay homage to the ancestors, you will do what we call derp, according to the Temple of the White and Gold Lotus, which is called the Shusuni Hech Hanub. Neteru Shadu, Neteru Shadu, Neteru. Neteru, all the ancestors on my mother's side and on my father's side. I am Lionel Jamal Williams, also known as Kera Amen-Ra. I give thanks and praise to those ancestors going 7 generations back on both sides. We give thanks and praise to all the ancestors. Give thanks and praise to the Matoye, my father's side, the Jacksons, the Stewarts. And you can just name all your ancestors individually with your mother's side starting first and then your father's side. I say, as we pray, as we pour into this water, remember, water holds memory. It is from water in which all things come from. Not just the earthly waters, but also the heavenly waters in which we call Nu. It is said that Ra were risen from the noon. So let's take a look at the glyphs one more time. You have the offering table, a loaf of bread, and you have the mat. Now, at one point in time, Hetep was used more prominently in the conscious community. But I think it's good for people to know that even though it is used as a greeting of peace to one another now, it's not too far off because you do establish peace with the Neteru around you, as well as the Neteru, that is the deities within you, by making offerings. Now, when we look at the water, the bread loaf, and we also have the mouth, that can be looked at in many different ways. And I would encourage you to study and meditate on the hieroglyphics or the Neteru. You know, there's the debate on whether they have been translated or not. My suggestion for you is to study them, meditate on them, and see what type of answers you get. Because our ancestors go all the way back to the Big Bang. So you have millions of years of knowledge in your DNA, in which you can recall by tapping into that. And the first steps that you take is by paying homage to those ancestors who are closest to you and keep going further and further back. See, nothing in this universe is ever forgotten. Nothing is ever erased. Everything is forever remembered and everything is forever recycled. You are part of the all. Nothing is actually added to or taken away from the all. However, we do see the process of expansion within the all. So, going back to what we said earlier, you want to make sure that you can pay homage to the Neteru, not only outside of you, but also within you. Because everything you see around you is actually a reflection of your spirit working from within. Every situation you find yourself in and so forth. So when it comes to paying homage, you always want to greet and work with the ancestors first and then the Neteru. And you will see this formula practiced in surviving traditional African practices to this day. The shrine is the place where you reach inner peace. This is why I say that Hetep is still relevant. So you want to learn your family tree. Pour libations to the ones who had actually good character. Try not to involve criminals and people you know that you had bad character or had bad character and so forth. We want to work with the honorable ancestors. And when you study, like the Perdim Heruim Ger, it mentions the scribe Anui becoming an Asar. And that's because Anui was able to become victorious by proving his words to be right and true. So you want to also prove your words to be right and true. And you want to honor those ancestors who did honorable things so that you will bring more of that energy into your life. At that, I'd like to wrap it up, family. Enjoy your evening. Have a blessed night and many good days to follow. Hetepu.